Welcome guys, today we have 11 beginner Mapler mistakes and what the heck to do about them. Let's get to it. Up first is trying to focus on one character. So as crazy as this sounds, as a beginner or even intermediate player, focusing on one character will be to your detriment. So let me explain. If you haven't played the game much, no amount of research, YouTube videos, or external website research is going to properly tell you if you like a class or not. Plus, unless you're a grizzled veteran, it's hard to know exactly how the game will react to new classes, new updates, etc. So if you only play one character, you're never going to be able to fully experience Maplestory, and you'll have a pretty difficult time staying consistent with the character since it might not be the perfect fit for what you like. Which basically is to say that unless you're astronomically lucky, you're not going to pick your main on your first few characters. Plus, on top of that, leveling up side characters is going to help your Link skills and Legion skills. Which leads me directly into my second mistake, which is ignoring your Link skills and Legion skills. As you're playing through those side characters, you're gaining valuable damage boosts that will help you forever. For example, Elementalism from the Canna gives a 10% damage boost. Wild Rage gift from the Demon Avenger gives a 15% damage boost. Solace from the Art class can grant up to 15% just for attacking enemies over time. And the Tide of Battle from the Ilium gives up to 12% damage. In total, that's up to 52% damage from 4 classes that you've played. That's only 4 characters. Of course, there are Link skills for experience, ignore defense, boss damage too, so feel free to learn as you go. In the background, you're going to see what it's like with Link skills on and Link skills off. I also did this with my Legion skills off as well, taking off the critical rate buff that I had. With the Link skills off, my damage was lowered about 3 to 7 million per hit of each attack, and then when I dropped my critical rate below 100, some of my attacks were hitting over 10 million damage points lower. That's a really big deal. Our mistake number 3 is worrying about armor and star forcing before level 200. So while we all want to get stronger, you want to make sure that you're saving your money for serious star forcing after level 200. And what I mean by serious star forcing is working to get items to and above 15 stars. While some may disagree, as this is a way technically to raise your damage earlier, the damage calculations and multipliers aren't as favorable when you're lower leveled since you have less attack, less main stat, less damage, and etc. Plus, why blow all your dough on gear that will be obsolete in probably just a few levels? If you do want to star force, I recommend getting an item to, 10 or 11 stars and then moving on. Anything after that is going to cost an arm and a leg and isn't really worth it unless you know that the gear is best in slot or an endgame item. Our fourth mistake is not trying all the side quests that this game has. A critical mistake that many new players make is not utilizing the quest system to its fullest. Nexon has filled the quest system with so many useful quests that grant items, it's really easy to miss them. With all the Burnators, double experience coupons, and etc., it's easy to pass right on by. I'm talking about quests like, have you heard about pets at level 33? That grants a free pet for 3 days. The Eye Opener at level 50, which grants you your inner ability. Teaching Link skill at level 70, which lets you give your Link skill to other characters. Have you heard about bonus stats and have you heard about potential? Those 2 quests are at level 60 and give you a free ring and shoulder accessory. Kino Kanoko's request at level 100. This gives you the Wings of Fate cape, which actually scales in attack with your level. You can also re-roll it for free so that its base stats are better. The Afterlands is at level 75, and that actually grants you 3 totems for your totem equipment slots. If you don't have any totems, the totems that you can only get after that are actually pretty late in the game, so it's a lot harder to get totems. On top of that, you've got a myriad of theme dungeons. There's actually 4 of them at level 30. Usually 2 to 3 of them will get you to level 60, and the Mush King summons at level 60 is also very good. The reason why they're so great is because they actually scale with your level up to a certain point. And then I also want to make special mention of Ursus, which you can do 3 times a day, and Maple Tour, which can be run 2 times a day for money. Ursus is in the Maple Guide, and it says that it's a competition, but it's actually not that competitive. if you actually just go in and help your other teammates kill Ursus, you're going to get a lot of money for it. If you run this every day, 3 times and 2 times for Maplestory, you can get up to 900 million to $1 billion every single week just running these. Absolutely amazing, and you don't want to miss it. These quests are vital to your success and will help you in your journey. Number 5, ignoring the familiar system. So the familiar system was revamped in 2020 and can provide some ridiculous attributes when you get a lucky roll. For example, just the first and second rank cards, which are pretty common to get, can give you 15% ignore defense, 30% meso drop rate, and 30% item drop rate, and more. As the rarity goes up, so does the total bonus, and if you happen to get lucky enough to get 2 lines of the same thing, you can double those numbers. The more you collect, the higher the rating for the bonus can be, because you can fuse them together to get higher ranks as well. Also, with the familiars comes the badge system. As you collect familiars and use them from your inventory, you'll eventually get badges for completing sets of enemies, or familiar cards. You can equip up to 10 badges at one time, and these badges can give great bonuses as well, like attack percentage and magic attack percentage, ignore defense, all stats, and main stat percentages. Make sure to check this out with Roro the Familiar under the star notifier if you haven't already. The next mistake is ignoring events. So Maplestory almost always has an event that you can take advantage of, and it is a bad idea to ignore them. Some of them take longer than others to do on a daily basis, but for the most part they really aren't so bad. So for example, I can get all of my daily quests and daily melody coins in the current event right now on July 18th, 2022 in about 20 minutes. The rewards for playing these events are ridiculous usually, and you can get event rings that boost damage immediately. You can get experience node stones for your V matrix skills and fairy hearts that give you an extra item to cube that has a higher potential rank than normal hearts. And of course, if you do these events in your side characters, like if growth potions are a reward, they aren't this current event, but they have been for the events earlier in the year, and they will be later in the year. This can rapidly upgrade your Link and Legion mules and save you literally weeks worth of time down the road. Our 7th mistake is ignoring the crafting system. So the crafting system used to be basically required to make endgame items, but that has been phased out in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean the crafting system is obsolete though. You'll still want to invest some time in it, since you'll need herbalism and smithing at the absolute minimum to unlock your pocket slot. But on top of that, you can use it to make items, so mostly shields. So a lot of the classes that use shields you'll need to use this for, but you can also craft Meister accessories. You can also use this to break down items into sellable components like Philosopher's Stone that you can sell for 300,000 each, and others. And finally, I also want to mention that you can use it to craft rare potions. They give you extra experience, main stat, attack, extra money drop rate, critical rate, damage to bosses, and more. Our next mistake is not utilizing the Maple Guide. So the Maple Guide in this game is a cheat code. There's 3 separate tabs on this baby, one for leveling up, one for boss information, and one for special things like Ursus, story quests, Maple Tour, and stuff like that. The level content tab could be its own video. We're not going to do that today though. On this tab, you not only get information on your recommended leveling quest, but it also gives you a recommended place for hunting if you prefer hunting monsters instead of doing quests. Also, if you look at the left side under the level range, you'll see claim reward, where you can get a dearth of helpful things for your journey. I'm not kidding when I say that I didn't know this existed until I made this video. At the bottom of this tab, you can add towns and hunting fields that you can teleport to without having a teleport rock, as long as you've gained the completion stamp for the room. Usually that's killing 400 of the mob. Boss content on the second tab is great because it gives you a nice hierarchy of where bosses land on the difficulty scale. From there, you can also click on the preceding quests section, and it'll automatically launch the needed pre-quest to fight the boss. Once unlocked, you can click on Move to Boss to challenge that boss, and it also lists the rewards you can get next to it as well. It's another really well thought out section of helpful content. Finally, we're going to have the special content, and that's split into a couple sections. Story for story quests, growth for quests that help you level up, and competition where you have PvEVP stuff like the Mulong Dojo, and then the Arcane River. This section isn't quite as good as the previous two, but it does provide a good overview of the activities you can do. For example, Ursus and Maplestory both give money primarily, but one is in growth and one is in competition. I would put both in growth, but that's just my opinion, even though technically speaking there is a ranking system when you challenge Ursus with other people. Also, I want to make special mention of the Monster Park, which is great for leveling up, and then the Mushroom Shrine Tales listed here is the Wings of Fate cape that I mentioned earlier in this video. So our next one is going to be not taking advantage of the boss equipment set. We talked earlier about not star forcing too much too early, and this is sort of in the same vein, but in this case, you would be making a mistake to not take advantage of it. The boss accessory set is a very easy way to get oodles of damage. It provides ignore defense, attack and magic attack, and boss damage. And frankly, it only takes a few minutes of time to do every day. To get 9 pieces, you just have to kill Zachem, Horntail, Arcarium, Pink Bean, and Magnus all on normal, though Chaos Horntail is not too hard. Each one of these bosses can be killed pretty early as 100 for Zachem, though keep in mind for Arcarium there is a pre-quest, but if you go to the boss content, you can click on the pre-quest and it'll take you to it. If you did these daily for a week, you would pretty much have enough for the full set bonus. Also, I want to mention that I did not talk about normal Hilla because normal Hilla isn't in the boss set, but you do want to do Hilla because she drops 140 gear that has high natural stats, so that gets a special recommendation from me. In the background of this video, you can see that I raised my damage range by 40,000 points. No cubing, no potential, no flames, just the 3 items that I got from the boss set. And of course, even if you don't get equipment, you get a decent amount of money from selling the crystals that the bosses drop. Section 10, ignoring the quality of life settings. So in the options section, there are tons of little checkboxes and sliders that can get overwhelming, so I wanted to give a couple of my favorite ones here. In the graphics section, you can change whether your skills and other characters' skills are transparent. This makes it so much easier to see what's going on around you or what bosses are doing. From there, damage effects can also be changed. This sometimes can get changed on the Maplestory client without your input, so I would do a discount double check just to make sure it's how you like it. Then there are a couple of checkboxes at the bottom, and I recommend the silhouettes on as well. Again, you don't have to. I just use it because it gives a clearer picture of what is happening, especially with the Pathfinder and using a lot of damage over time skills. It can get really distracting on bosses. Also, on the sounds tab, you can adjust those how you want. After hunting 50,000 of one monster, you might not want to hear it die anymore. Then at the bottom of the game tab, there's a drop down that changes how large the buff duration cooldown numbers are. I like those big so I can see them. And then the last thing in this section is the 64-bit tab. If you have tons of memory like RAM or are having performance issues, allocating more memory here could help you out. And then the last thing in this section is going to be the keyboard shortcuts, macros, and cooldown notes. Macros actually allow you to link 3 skills into one button and then use all 3 with press of that one button. Save you some time, saves you some carpal tunnel, very good in bosses. Notes actually allow you to set which skills you want a special notification on the bottom right on when they're usable again. This is also really handy during bosses. You should see it in the background video. Our final mistake is one that's near and dear to my heart, and that is being consistent. At the end of the day, the most important thing that you can do to progress in Maplestory is being consistent. You don't have to spend 3 to 5 hours a day to make progress in the early to mid game. In late game, you'll have to spend a bit longer, but even then, as long as your goals are set properly and they're reachable, the time spent can be optimized. Maplestory rewards you for logging in daily, even if you're just doing your daily quests, daily bosses, daily money making activities, or just doing the events. So there you have it. There are the 11 mistakes that beginner Maplers make, and how to fix it. If you have anything you would add, put it in the comments below. Make sure to sub and like to get this video out to the fellow Maplers who need to see it. See you guys in the next video.